Hi.
Hey, Robin. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
I had about, let's see, 20 people. Oh, good. Here's some more. 20 people signed up for this. All right. Let's see. Here's Catherine. Here's Selena. All right. We got some more. Mm. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. All right. I know we've got a few more that are going to be joining, so let's give them just a minute.
Lynn?
Yeah.
It's Laurel here. I'm going to be on mute. I'm on a ferry and it's really noisy. Okay. Hope
Yep.
you have a great class. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. That's Laurel. She is a client, a student, and a friend, and she's on a ferry, so she's going to be joining us that way. Delightful. Let's see. All right. Well, here we go. We got a few others. Admit. My assistant set this up so that I get to admit people as they join. Huh. All right, here we go. Admit. There we go. All right. So welcome to the, hi Serena. Welcome to the Friday afternoon version of Akashic readings. I'm Lynn, and I have been involved with the Akashic readings in this lifetime since I was about 11 years old. I read a book that I have over there on the bookshelf that my mom had given to my sister and I when we were very young. That was about Edgar Cayce. It was called The Sleeping Prophet. Have any of you ever read that book? It's an incredible book, and it chronicles the life of Edgar Cayce, who was known as the Sleeping Prophet. And what he would do is he would go into a trance, and he would bring information back from the Akashic records. And the Akashic records are kind of like the cosmic iCloud of every thought, every word, every action that we've ever taken, not just for this lifetime, but for all of our lifetimes and incarnations. I'm so sorry. I've got people that are trying to get in. Find their way. So I read this book. I'm enthralled. This is like the early 70s. So the only things that are available are like Shirley MacLaine talking about her out on the limb, Don't Fall Off the Mountain. There's Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts. And then The Education of Oversoul 7, and that trilogy came. There's Eric von Däniken, Chariots of the Gods. There's just not a lot out there, and kind of like this mystical woo-woo in the early 70s. There was a book on Lawrence LeSean wrote How to Meditate. And I remember one time lying on the couch, and the remote control was on the coffee table, which was a distance from me. And I literally put my hand out, and I was like, come. like I just knew that somewhere in my memories there was a time when I could have had that remote like pop right into my hand instead of having to get up and change the remote or get up and change the TV. So I knew that meditation was the thing. I learned this beautiful meditation sequence of you inhale for 10 breaths, you hold for 3, and then you exhale for 10 breaths. So I knew the importance of breath, but I went on and was fascinated by past lives, fascinated by anything that was kind of like metaphysical. I was kind of weird about the whole like, are ETs real and that whole thing. But in 2017, a girlfriend of mine on Facebook Her name is Tiffany. She writes and she says, "Hey, I just got trained to read the Akashic Records." And I'm like, "Oh my God." She said, "I'm doing free readings. Does anyone want one?" And I'm literally on the phone going, "Tiffany, Tiffany, pick me, pick me." And so she does an Akashic Record reading for me. And it is such a validation for me of everything that I had believed, everything that I had done through my own investigation into past lives, into understanding why I had the gifts and the abilities that I did. In 2009, I went to Israel. I laid my hands on the grave of a dead, what are called the Sadiqim in the Mount of Olives, which is the cemetery that's just across from the city of David. And a golden shaft of light comes down, circles my head. Guy in the grave starts talking to me, and I'm like, what's happening? I'm thinking, I've never taken acid. This can't be an acid flashback. Like, what's going on? But it was so real to me. And he's telling me, your father is waiting for you. And I'm like, my father? And he says, Abraham. And I said, Abraham. And he said, you know him as Avram. And Avram is a spirit guide that I've had in my meditation since I was really young. So, all these pieces are starting to come together. And then I come back from that trip, and all of a sudden I can talk to the dead. Like the dead start talking to me, and I can hear them. I'm relaying messages, and I'm like, oh my God, how is this my life? I always knew I was psychic. I just knew things. Any of you have that? Like you know things. You don't know why you know it. You just know it. Maybe you do know why you know it. So there was that part. And then in 2016, I'm in a meditation, and in the meditation, this being comes to me, and it's Pallas Athena. And she says, I am Pallas Athena. Will you come with me? And I thought, daughter of Zeus shows up. I should go with her. She takes me underneath the water, shows me the civilization that lives inside Earth. And she said, you did this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Had no idea. I go to one of my dear girlfriends who's a channel. And I said, Wendy, I had this incredible experience. And she said, why don't we train you to be a channel? And I'm like, no, 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 no. I've seen the movie Ghost. I saw what happens when Whoopi Goldberg lets that guy into her body. And what do you do to your hair? I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. She goes, no, 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 it's not like that. Channeling is actually a shortcut to spiritual enlightenment. And I'm like, okay, now I'm intrigued. So I get trained to channel, and I start channeling Athena. And then I start channeling Hathor. And since then, I've channeled about 20 different ascended masters, which is an incredible experience. But then in 2017, when this chance comes to read the Akashic Records, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn. My girlfriend learned from someone who learned from someone who learned from someone who learned from someone who learned from Linda Howe. Linda Howe, who wrote the quintessential book, which is also on my bookshelf, called How to Read the Akashic Records. So I start following Linda on Facebook, and in January of 2018, she's going to offer a 3-month program where you meet with her. And at the time, this seemed like a lot of money. It was like $850 to do this 3-month program. But I was like, here's my credit card, sign me up, like anything. Short of selling my cat, I was in. Sorry, one more person's trying to get in. So I start doing this training, and the very first time she teaches you this prayer, this invocation to open the records. And the very first time that I do, there are these beings, and they're jumping up and down, and they're screaming, halls of Amenti, halls of Amenti, halls of Amenti. And I'm scared out of my mind. I'm like, I don't know what the halls of Amenti are. I don't know why these guys are screaming. How come I can see them? How come I can hear them? What the hell's going on? And I close the records, and I'm like, what was that? So I reach out to my teacher, Linda Howe, and I'm like, Linda, what was that? And she said, they're obviously very happy to see you. And if it scares you, just ask them to calm down. Sorry, my phone's about to go to better. Just ask them to calm down and to talk a little slower. So I go back in, and I'm like, hello. Hello, I'm back. Could you guys calm down a little? Could you talk a little slower? And they say, the halls of Amenti is where the Akashic records were kept in Atlantis. And they were brought from Atlantis, and they now reside in Egypt. And you were in Atlantis. You were one of the beings that actually caused the cataclysm, because you used to use your voice to program the crystals. And you all had this great idea that instead of programming the crystals grow up to draw energy down, you would program the crystals go down to try and create a hole in the earth so a new civilization could live, except it causes cataclysm to cause the flooding in Atlantis. I'm like, maybe that's why I'm terrified. If I'm ever on a bridge, like a long bridge over the water, I have this terror that strikes me that never made any sense to me. And it's since gone, because now I understand why. But like the Akashic records just started explaining so many things. At then at one point they said to me, "You are a guardian of the records." And I said, "What does that mean?" And they said that you're meant to teach people how to read the records, which is something that I do. And then there was this whole other thing where I then started channeling Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Archangel Michael and Archangel Uriel and all these beings that have come forth, Sanat Gamora, beings from different star systems, ascended masters, just this incredible, incredible journey. But what's always sat at the heart of it have been the Akashic records. So then I came across this book, The Way of the Essenes, Christ's Hidden Life Remember. And what they did is they went in to the Akashic records to look at Jesus's life. So right now I'm working on a project that's called the Essene Akashic Sessions, where I'm taking people into session and we're pulling up their memories of being an Essene and being part of that community. And it's just blowing my mind. This is work that Dolores Cannon started when she was doing her work with Jesus and the Essenes, and they walked with Jesus. And then there's a whole other series of books that were written by some of her students that's called the Essenes Children of the Light. And so, this whole thing is just, it's blowing my mind. Every day I'm working in the Essene Book of Days, which was channeled by a man named Dan Perry. He has since passed away, but it tells you about the angel of the days. So one of the things the Essenes did is there were the seven angels of the Heavenly Father and then the seven angels of the Earthly Mother. And what was shown to me in a vision was to reach the Heavenly Father, you first have to go through the 7 rungs of the Earthly Mother, except all reference to the Earthly Mother were eradicated. We knew the Lord's Prayer to the Heavenly Father, but they took out the Lord's Prayer to the Earthly Mother. How are you going to get there if the rungs of the ladder are missing? So this has been like this incredible journey for me, this coming together, like the greatest work of my life. All of my certificates, all of my training, everything has been channeled into this one journey that I'm taking. And if you want to read the most powerful book on the whole thing, it's this book, The Essene Gospel of Peace. This was, there's a man named Edmund Bordeaux Zaccali, and in 1928, he gets access to the Vatican archives because he speaks 20 languages, and he finds these hidden scrolls that are the 4 books of, there's some glare, the 4 books of the Essene Gospel of Peace. The Essene Gospel of Peace, the unknown books of the Essenes, the lost scrolls of the Essene Brotherhood, and then the teachings of the elect. So he's releasing these, and then all of a sudden they do the find at Nag Hammadi of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the stuff that he's translated from the Vatican matches exactly what's come out of the Dead Sea Scrolls. But then he dies in 1978, but he doesn't allow the last book, which is the Teachings of the Elect, to be published until 2 years after he's dead. So there's so much of this that's been shrouded in mystery, but the answers to all of this exists in the Akashic records. So I've been doing these sessions with people, and we've been finding Mary Magdalene's mother. We've been finding, another one of Jesus's relatives. We've been finding people that the Essenes, oh my God, the Essenes used to travel through portals like Orion and Sirius, because the Essenes came from Arcturus. Anyway, my mind is just blown by all of this. So then it comes down to us. What's in our Akashic records? What's in your Akashic records is, why are you scared of the things you're scared of? Why do you love the things that you do? Why do you have particular talents? Why are there other things where you're a bumbling idiot? Why do you always seem to have the same patterns that occur in your life? If you want answers to those questions, those lie in the Akashic records. It's basically like there's the masters, the teachers, and the loved ones, and there's the lords of the records. And if you're drawn here, you didn't trip and fall into this. Do you know what I'm saying? Some part of your soul, some part of your spirit led you to this. And maybe you're meant to learn how to read the records. Maybe you're meant to have a reading. Maybe you're meant to be part of the Essene journey. Who knows? I can't stop talking about the Essenes right now because I'm just transfixed by all of it. So there's that. Let's see, what else can I tell you about the Akashic records? They show up really differently, depending upon whether you have the gift of clairvoyance, which is the ability to see beyond spirit, beyond the physical eyes, see what spirit is showing you. Clairaudience, which is the hearing that's beyond the physical ears. Clairsentience, where you can feel their presence, like you get goose flesh, or the room gets really cold when they walk in. Any of you have that kind of stuff? Claircognizance, where you just know stuff. like you don't know why you know it, but you just know it. Exactly. Yep. Good. Serena, it's great to see you again. And I'm glad that you're here. And we'll definitely have to have that conversation to find out why. I know I saw you cover your mouth when I pulled the book up. So if you're here, the Essenes have drawn you in. So yeah, you you have to trust this stuff. Like this is spirit. It's not like there's some dark force or energy that's like you must do this or you must do that. No. You let go of the Luciferian agenda. You make a promise to stay and walk the path of light, and everything's going to be fine. So, what else can I tell you? Um, Masters, teachers, and loved ones. So the masters, teachers, and loved ones, we have a master soul, our oversoul, if you will. And you can learn about how the oversoul works by reading Jane Roberts' Education of Oversoul 7, and then the two subsequent books, The Further Education of Oversoul 7 and Oversoul 7 in the Museum of Time, to understand how the structure of the time-space continuum is, you know, in regards to the Akashic records. It's all explained in those books. The teachers, like Jesus came as a teacher. He was hired by Sanat Kumara, who's the son of Lady Venus. And Sanat's like, planet Earth needs help. And Jesus is like, okay, I'll go. And Jesus came and Magdalene came and, they're all Arcturians hanging out, helping us humans. And then we have the loved ones. So the loved ones may be your deceased grandmother or the 7-foot tall Swahili chieftain who turns out to have been, your father in a lifetime when you lived in Africa. It doesn't matter who they are, the little Chinese woman, like they'll come and they're people that have signed up to assist you with your soul's journey of evolution. Make sense? And all of these beings are communicating with us. They're talking to us. They're sending us, songs to clue us into something. They're sending us the playing card that you find on the ground, the coin that you find. Oh, dimes. My uncle always collected dimes. It's the smell. It's clairalience is when you can smell from spirit. Clairgusto is when you can taste from spirit. When my grandmother shows up, it smells like roses. When my stepfather shows up, it smells like cigarettes because he loved to smoke. I have a way that I teach people how to open their clairs. Those are called your clairs. It's learning how to take energy that's been blocked and trapped. I have a student. This is fascinating. In one of my classes, I teach a course called Clean Slate, which is having images or things in your life that are traumatizing to you and you don't know why. I said, who do you have that you just don't like? I'm asking my students, and she says, I don't like Kevin Bacon. I hate Kevin Bacon. And I'm like, okay, have you ever interacted with him? She's like, no. And I said, okay, thank you. Who does he remind you of? And she goes, oh. And all of a sudden, she has a memory of playing tag with the kids in the neighborhood. A neighbor's cousin comes and, sexually molests her, and he looks just like Kevin Bacon. So we go in and we do the healing on that. And all these other memories come out. And now she is a medium, a pet psychic, and she's channeling. When you start to remove all the places that you've closed down your abilities because of the trauma, these gifts start flourishing. They're like sproing, they come up and they come out. So all that's available for you. And if you're drawn here, again, you're drawn here because some aspect of your soul is saying, you're meant to be here. You're meant to hear something here. You're meant to have this experience today. Let's see, what else? Masters, teachers, loved ones. Oh, then there are the lords of the records. So when I did my training with Linda said there are 4 of them. I took it on faith. When I went in, I saw 7. I have other people that have seen 4, people that have seen 7, people that have seen 10. You'll have whatever experience you're meant to have, given how open your spiritual aperture is. Does that make sense? Your internet is unstable. Okay. If you drop out, you can always come back. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a spot reading today. I'm going to let you ask a few questions. I'm going to open up your Akashic records. Robin, I'm being drawn to you. Are you willing to have your records read today?
I am.
Okay, beautiful. So I want you to come up with a few questions that you would want to know within the Akashic records. And what I need from you is I need your full legal name, like how you would sign a legal document, not necessarily the name you were born with unless you've never been married, or
Yeah.
unless you divorced and took your name back. But what is your full legal name?
It's Robin, Robyn. My middle name is Denise, and my last name is Wiedemann. It's Weidemann.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm going to open your records. They're here already. It's good. And we'll go in and see what they have for you today. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a prayer of invocation that I use. It's the same one that I teach my students. And there's a portion that's said aloud. There's a portion that's said silently. And then I will say, the records are now open. I'm just turning off the automatic close on my phone so I can continue. I, Lynn, and my dazzling personality. That's not who's going to be here. It's going to be one of your master's teachers or loved one. I have a business partner that we're doing this Essene project, and she just literally just wrote to me and she goes, "Oh my God, I have a student who's an Essene. She's read all of Dolores's books." You're doing the readings for no charge, right? Yes. If so, yep. So if any of you want to find out if you are an Essene, I have a couple options for you to come. We have a book club every Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern, and we're doing readings in there. I also have a class that happens every Thursday evening at 5 p.m. and we're doing readings in it too. So if that's of interest to you, I'll post that information. Okie dokie. There we go. Again, it'll be one of your master's teachers and loved ones. And they're here. They've called you forth. My personality is going to change. My voice is going to change. It's going to be one of your people. And just have fun with this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, here we go. And I tend to yawn as I transition. So I'll announce the records are now up. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our higher good and the higher good of everyone connected to us. Oh, Holy Spirit of God, help me to know Robin in the light of the Akashic records, to see Robin through the eyes of the Lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Robin have for her. The records are now open. Greetings, beloved one. Beloved, we have called you forth as there is information for us to impart to you. We would ask that you bring to us the questions that you have so that we may meet in the middle, shall we say. We thank you for hearkening to our call. We know that there have been things that have been upon your heart, and we now look to bring resolution to you. So come, beloved one, tell us, what are your queries?
My question would be, what would I need to know now in this time for my highest good?
Beloved, what you would need to know now for your highest good is how deeply loved that you are, that there is an aspect of you that has a tendency to not always look upon yourself in the best and highest light, shall we say. We would ask you that you would reconsider all of the good that you have done. There was much conditioning, shall we say, that had come from the female lineage within your family dynamic that has led you to believe that there is less of you that is treasured and loved than is quite truthful. There are outdated ways of thinking that you have had about who you are in the world and how you can best express yourself. And beloved, you are being called forth because there is wisdom that has been locked away inside of your heart. And it is time for this to be unleashed. It is time for this to be brought forth. There is a teacher within you that needs to teach. Understand that the places where you have closed off, seemingly walled off, what it is that you have to share has been out of a sense of reluctance that you would be rejected by what you have considered to be your family and your friends for the beliefs that you hold. You understand?
Yes.
And it is time for you to say, I cannot allow my life to be governed by my fear of what others will think of me. I must speak my truths. Beloved, the wisdom and the knowledge that you carry within you is ancient, spanning multitudes of lifetimes and dimensions. And it is time for you to bring this forth. And if these can be words of encouragement to you, beloved one, understand that there are far vaster communities of like-minded, like-hearted souls. And it is time for you to make them the family of choice, if you will. The wisdom that you have, let us talk about the understanding that you have of plants and plant medicine, why you have an affinity for flowers, why you love the sound of the birds when you listen in the early morning hours. Understand, beloveds, that you have communion with trees, with plants. You understand how they grow, why they grow, and how they are meant to benefit. And yet, this is wisdom that you have not yet been willing to fully remember, shall we say. Would you agree?
Yes.
And it is time, beloved.
Mhm.
We appeal to your heart. We appeal to your soul. And we say, precious one, please come out of hiding, for you are necessary. Your teachings are necessary. Does this encourage you?
Yes.
Beloveds, there are fears that each of you have that say, but what if I this and what if I that? Fear not. Know that the numbers are far vaster and far greater of those who will be encouraged by you and by what it is that you know. And now is the time that that wisdom and that knowledge is necessary. So, for going ahead with your life, beloved, we would ask you to turn to the greatest fears that you have and to look them in the eye and say, I am no longer afraid of you, for I have faith that the love that I carry in my heart is far greater than any fear that I could possibly have ever empowered. So the invitation lays before you, beloved one. Are you willing to bring forth that which is known to you and to share that with many?
Yes.
We thank you for accepting our invitation and understand that this is a soul agreement that was written long before you ever incarnated. And we thank you. You know the next steps for you to take, beloved one.
I don't know if I do.
Beloved, we would ask you to take a pen to paper. We would ask you to open your heart and ask to have the words come through you of the wisdom that you are meant to share. You will find that this will be very easy for you. There are seeming coincidences that shall be coming your way, where you will meet with certain people, be placed in certain situations, have suggestions of books that will come to you. You may even find a book or two that you yourself have written in other incarnations, shall we say. And it is time to bring this wisdom forth once again. But start, beloved, by allowing yourself to go into a moment of stillness through breathing. Come into quietude and allow the pen to flow. You will be quite surprised with the information that will flow forth from its tiny tip.
Thank you.
Indeed, we love you. We are here with you. We are encouraging you. And we thank you for listening. Continue to listen, beloved one. We have much to share.
Thank you.
Greetings and salutations to all. This transmission is complete. Okay, there's a quick closing prayer. I would like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I would like to thank the Lords of their Akashic records for their point of view. I would like to thank the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. The records are now closed, amen. The records are now closed, amen. The records are now closed, amen. Okay. So I am, someone's coming, but I am what is known as an unconscious channel, in that I get completely out of the way, something I train myself to do. Most channels that you'll see allow themselves to be conscious, but the ego is still there. So what will happen with an unconscious channel is we allow ourselves to kind of get scooped out of the way. So I don't have like current recollection of what it was that was spoken. The good news is it's on a recording. Oh, they're still pulling out. And this recording will be posted on the YouTube channel. So did they give you the answers that you were looking for?
I didn't have a specific question. I asked what I need to know for my highest good at this time.
Okay.
Oh,
Were they
beautiful.
able to give it to you?
Yes, very specifically.
Right on.
Yes.
They're
Very
brilliant. They are brilliant. Good.
fair.
I'm delighted.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Holly. Hi, Holly. All right, this is a woman that I know and love. Hi, sweet girl. Unfortunately, you caught us. You must have tried to come in as I was in the middle of channeling, so we're just wrapping up, but it's always wonderful to see you. I love you. And does anyone have any questions? Serena, I should definitely have a conversation. Anyone have any questions that I can answer for you right now? Okay. Serena, are we in contact with each other on Facebook? Are you? Unmute yourself for a second, Lynn.
Yeah, I think we are, but I'll, if not, I will make sure that we are. I think we are, Lynn.
Okay, great.
We can communicate there.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are. There you are. I'm just going to say hi. So Holly, let me tell you the most exciting project that I'm up to right now. Jesus and Magdalene. We're about to publish the book that I wrote with Mary Magdalene back in 2021, where I channeled her every day for 365 days. It's called Channeling Magdalene, A Year of Love. It's our journey through the 365 lessons of A Course in Miracles. We're going to print on July 22nd, which is the Feast of Magdalene Day. So I'm very excited for that. And then I am taking people through a journey through the Essene Gospel of Peace and several other books. And we're interviewing people and going into people's past lives to find out what their connection is to the Essene community. And we're going to be publishing another book that's going to be called the Essene Akashic Sessions, talking about those journeys. And I've done, God, probably about 8 people in sessions so far, and they're blowing our minds. We found Mary Magdalene's mother. We found another relative of Jesus. We found a woman who was the gatekeeper. She was the Essene that taught people about how to go through the portal that is in Orion to be able to get to Arcturus. And we found out that the Essenes are actually Arcturians in Ursa Major, and that they have been guardians throughout the cosmos, not just here on Earth. And it's all just enthralling. It's absolutely enthralling. And yeah, been really, really amazing. So I thank you all for being here. If you have any desire to learn to read the Akashic Records, to teach people to learn how to read the records, any of that kind of stuff, all that's available on my website. I have people that I've taught, they teach people how to do this. So it's not just me. If I'm doing these twice a month now, so you can come back anytime. Let's see, what else can I tell you? I love doing this. This lights me up like nothing else does. I love being in the records. I love sharing the wisdom of the records with people. Everyone has access to their own Akashic records. Everyone, if you want to have access to other people's records, you need their permission. And yeah, love to have you come back, my love. It's always a delight to see you. We should schedule a catch up. I would love to catch up with you. I would love to do that. And the records they're so loving. Like, oh my God, they're the beings that are committed to our soul's evolution. You know, that's all I can tell you. And they want to help us in any way that they possibly can. So I thank you all for being here. I wish you a beautiful Shabbat Shalom for those of you who celebrate. And I will definitely see you around. Reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me. I had a woman who called me one day from Tennessee, and I'm like, how'd you get my number? She said, on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm everywhere. If you can't find me, you're not looking hard enough. Anyway, my love to all of you. I wish you a beautiful day, and I thank you so much for your presence. And Robin, thank you so much for your courage and your generosity, and sending you all so much love. Bye, everybody.